Bricksie just walked away from something most LEGO YouTubers would never give up. Free sets, early access, and a direct connection to LEGO. So the question is, why would he leave? Was that actually a good decision? And why the hell am I making a video about this? And with that, let's jump right in. I want to get this video out as soon as possible. So this is hot off the press news stuff, fresh news, right? And this video won't be as heavily edited as a result. I hope that's okay for you. But you see, I was actually working on a Bricksit video for a couple days now. And then I won't get to finish it because the framing was about one of the biggest LEGO ambassadors essentially taking, let's call it, heavy inspiration from mock artists on Rebrickable. And that just didn't sit right with me. Specifically, the starting point was the medieval chapel mock Bricksie added to his medieval area in his latest update video. I'll link that down below. An update to the section of his massive diorama display, right? And in this video, by the way, it mentions a church in the title. He never calls it a church, he calls it a chapel because it is a chapel. Why the title does not reflect that, I don't know. That's speculation, I guess, at this point. But he makes it appear as if he came up with the design for this chapel by himself. Here is a screenshot of what his design looks like. And you know what? I'll let you be the judge of that. Go ahead and Google LEGO Medieval Chapel. I'll wait. Do you see it? It's over here. Also, it's the first hit on Rebrickable. Do you think that looks a little too close for comfort? I do. So does Alessandro Maffioli, who designed it. Look at that. Bricksie doesn't build like that. He never did. Also in the video he mentions using 1x1 plates as a design element, right? And had he bothered to actually buy the instructions, put in the 10 bucks, right? Not just look at the picture and then base his design or again, take heavy inspiration from it. He would have seen that these are snot bricks. Alessandro Maffioli uses them in dark bluish gray. He uses light bluish gray and plates. I mean, the original design is infinitely better, obviously. And again, if you look at any other mock he claims to have done, he never used a technique like this. So this is just very unusual for him. Let's call it that. But since he's no longer a LEGO ambassador now, he made a video about that. I'll link that down below as well. My entire angle, right, of the biggest LAN member can't credit small creators, that obviously falls apart. And I mean, this is perfectly legal. I'd like to stress that. I would assume it's legal. It's just in bad taste, I think, especially for a community like this, which stresses collaboration and mutual respect, right? But let's go back to his actual announcement. And there he explains that leaving the LEGO Ambassador Network for him is just about freedom, right? More control, more pressure, more focus on what he actually wants to build. And on the surface, that sounds completely reasonable, right? But when you really break down his arguments, this decision becomes a lot more complicated. Because this isn't just about leaving LAN. This is about trade-offs. And I'm not convinced at all, this move actually solves the problems he thinks it does. Essentially, by leaving LAN, he's giving up early access to sets, free review copies, exclusive information, the media server access, and direct contact with LEGO. Those aren't just small perks. Also, he often said that he could order stuff from LEGO directly at a huge discount when it comes to parts, which obviously would help projects like his LEGO City. Those are structural advantages that most creators do not have. And in return, he says he gets more freedom over what he builds and more control over his content. But here's the issue. He already had some of that freedom, maybe most of it. He says, and again, I urge you to watch the video yourself, one of the main problems is that he cannot say no to review offers. And that's fair, but you know, technically he could. He just doesn't have the willpower to say no. You can decline sets. He says so himself. You can reduce reviews. You can stay in LAN for just the press access, just the information, just the community connections, without ever taking every single product. So leaving entirely, that is just the most extreme solution to that problem. And one of the main claims of his is that review videos don't perform well on his channel. But when you actually look at his recent videos, that doesn't fully hold up. His BDP reviews perform well. Obviously, he would have to give them up as well. Many of his standard reviews perform as well or better than his city content. And the only clear underperformer in the last couple of weeks was his Smart Play review, which that makes sense, right? It was late, not necessarily his fault. LEGO didn't ship that on time to everybody. And it was on a product that is widely disliked. People just hate them and love to hate on them. So obviously, they won't do well. So that's not really a fair example of a format failing, right? And then there are the unboxings, those LEGO shipment videos he does, right? Only ambassadors can do those early because nobody else has the sets early. And these videos perform, which means he's also giving up one of his most unique advantages. So the idea that reviews don't work on his channel, at the very least, that's not the full picture. And if reviews were truly the issue, then the numbers should reflect that. But they don't, which suggests there's something else going on, right? This looks less like a performance problem to me and more like a shift in content strategy. And I find it particularly interesting that he brings up Thiago as an example of someone who does better reviews. Yeah, I mean, he's right. But actually that comparison highlights something very important. Thiago focuses entirely on reviews and puts a lot more production value into them. And he's just way better at them. Most importantly, because he's a former LEGO designer. Thiago has his own LEGO pod, right? This is his tile with his initials on them. You can't compare yourself to somebody who's so much technical knowledge and authority that is not possible to replicate for somebody like Bricksie, right? So when Thiago makes a review, people are watching for the expertise, not just the set. And that's the key difference. If Thiago left LAN, he would probably increase his credibility. Bricksie does not profit from the same move because his authority comes from knowledge, not access. But for Bricksie, leaving LAN doesn't automatically create that same effect. Because credibility isn't just about independence, right? It's also about what you bring to the table. He also mentions Zhang here. Same story. And this is where this whole situation makes more sense, right? He says the channel isn't performing as it used to. He says he needs to flip the script, whatever he means by that. He says he needs to make things work again. And I understand that. I get the desire to go back to a time where you made more money with your content, had a bigger reach, made more stuff that people actually cared about. But that's not a credibility move, right? That's a business move. He claims that he wants to move away from stuff that is time-intensive content that doesn't maximize returns. But if you've seen his reviews, I mean, I don't see a lot of time he claims to have invested. Certainly not. He talks about 4 to 8 hours, an entire day, just for one review. I have a hard time believing that. He says he wants to shift towards content that performs better for his audience, right? City building, the mocks, and daily vlog style content. And that's a completely rational decision. I understand that. But it's different from how it's being framed here. And he claims that he's doing 4 things, right? Simplifying his workflow, reducing the pressure, whatever that means, focusing on the content he enjoys more, okay, and optimizing his performance. And most importantly, and that seems to be really, really important for him, regaining control. He says that over and over again, over what he builds and films. Again, I think he could have done that at any point in time. He also, in one of his earlier videos, says that he wrote a resume, right, and is looking for jobs because he wants somebody to tell him what to do and not to think about it anymore. What? And obviously there's some sort of trade-off if you leave LAN just to regain control. He loses all of his early access advantage. He loses exclusive content opportunities. He loses his connection to LEGO as a platform. And that matters because those things help differentiate a channel. So the real question is, does the freedom he gains outweigh the advantages he's losing? I don't see that. I think that is a very high price to pay. Because leaving LAN doesn't automatically fix things, right? It doesn't fix content performance. It doesn't fix audience perception. It doesn't fix credibility. It just removes the safety net. So this isn't simply a good or bad decision, right? It's a gamble. One that gives him more control, okay, I'll take that point. But also takes away some of the biggest advantages he had. And whether that pays off is going to depend entirely on what he does next. And knowing him from, years of watching his content, I'm not sure he knows what he's going to do next. So, I don't know. But what do you think? Do you think this was the right move? Do you think he gave up too much? Would you give up all of that access, just all of the, not to speak, we haven't even mentioned all of the free sets he would be given. He doesn't have to display them, right? He says, okay, now I get to only buy what I really want and don't have to display all of these sets that were just sent to me. He doesn't have to build and display them. He could just store them somewhere. The only thing he can't do with them is sell them. But he can, take them apart and use the parts for his city. Why doesn't he do that? Something just doesn't sit right with me here. So do you think this is giving up too much for gaining too little? And also, what do you think about the medieval church, right? Is that a church? Is it rather a chapel? What did he do there? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, right? Not just about what's happening in the LEGO space, but also what it actually means, make sure to subscribe down below. I set up a Patreon, which you could also check out, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to my ant card. This is just a hangout. Yeah, I'm a crank that shit. Bro, that's so damn loud. It's nothing but a little intermission. Enjoy these soothing bars of utter indecision. Buddy people, you can trust me. It's an ant card. I know all those fire jokes and get you saying hard. It's an ant card. This shit ain't some voodoo, bro. I know you want to stay, but it's time for you to go.